Today I'm going over an MP3 player interface that I helped design in college. I worked on this project with two other individuals, shout out to Wilburn and Michael. Together we created our own graphical user interface, also known as a GUI, for our MP3 player, and we also used the MP3 AJIC library to read MP3 files and their ID3 tags. We also included a database into our design to help us store song information and display it within our GUI. I was in charge of the database aspect of our design. This involved making sure that the appropriate create, read, update, and delete, also known as CRUD, operations were present in the design. This means retrieving the appropriate data when the different buttons are pressed within our GUI, deleting data from tables, adding data to tables, and finally modifying data when appropriate. Once I finished the core CRUD operations within the database, I then helped put the finishing touches on the GUI, and I also helped connect the different components together so that they function properly and cohesively. I even revisited this project recently and added in a few additional features which I will talk about in a little bit. For the sake of this demo, let me open up a fresh instance of our MP3 player. Alright, here we go. Now, our MP3 player can successfully play, pause, and stop songs. This functionality is available to both songs inside of the user's library and MP3 files that the user wants to open from a different location. These three songs that you see here are already located in the library. Let me demonstrate the play, stop, and pause features. There's play. Alright, now let me demonstrate opening up a file and playing it from our MP3 player. Now I have a couple of MP3 files on my desktop. I'm just going to select this one right here and open it. As you can see, it plays it with no issue. You could also pause it, resume the play, etc., etc., and you could also stop it. Now we also gave the user the option to skip forward to the next song or skip backwards to the previous song. They can either do this using the appropriate buttons, or they can also use the control menu. So I'm going to demonstrate that really fast. We also implemented keyboard shortcuts to help the user quickly play and skip through songs. To quickly play a song, all the user has to do is select the song that they want to play and push the spacebar. To skip to the next song, the user just needs to press Control and the forward arrow on their keyboard. And to skip to the previous song, the user just needs to press Control and the backwards arrow. Let me demonstrate that. Users can also add songs to their library through the File menu or by simply dragging and dropping the desired MP3 files into their library. Let me add some files over here. I have some music for this demo located on the desktop. MP3 player, music. Here we go. Let's add these 4 songs. As you can see, it added all 4 of them. As I said before, we can also just drag and drop files in as well. Show that. Let's do turtle time. Mysteries. There you go. As you can see, it updated it, and all I had to do was drag and drop the files in there. Deleting songs is just as easy. Users can either select the song they want to delete and delete them through the file menu, as so. Or they can simply select the songs that they want to delete and right click and push delete from library. Now we also implemented playlists into our MP3 player. Users can easily create new playlists by right clicking, and then all they have to do is enter a new name. Let's name this new playlist Demo Playlist. We push OK, and as you can see here, it shows us the newly created playlist. You can also easily add songs to and delete songs from playlists as well. You just have to, let's add these 3 songs to the playlist. It was called Demo Playlist. Now when we double click this, we can see that all 3 songs are there. Deleting is the same. It's really easy. All you have to do is click the songs you want to delete. I'll just delete Turtle Time. Right click it and then put Remove from Playlist. Let's go back to our library. Users can also conveniently increase and decrease the volume of the songs being played by using the volume slider in the upper left of the GUI or by using the control menu. Let me demonstrate that for you right now. I'm just going to play this song and demonstrate it. You can also use a control menu to increase volume. And of course, decrease the volume. We of course also implemented keyboard shortcuts for increasing and decreasing the volume. All you have to do is push Control I to increase and Control D to decrease. Let me show you that as well. Users can also repeat songs after they finish and shuffle songs in their library or playlist. To do that, you just have to select the appropriate option in the control menu. Right now I'm going to click the repeat option, and when this song finishes, it should repeat. As you can see, it repeats. Now let's try out the shuffle. Take out the repeat. And now whenever we fast forward to the end of the song, it should start playing another random song in that library. As you can see, it plays Aioli. Let's do it again. As you can see, the songs are being shuffled. Pause that. Now the song information area is also user customizable. This means that they can display all the different columns to their liking. They could display the year the song was released, the genre, the comments. They could display as much or as little as they want. The song name, of course, will always be displayed. Let's display artist and album. Finally, the user can track the progress of the song being played by viewing the song progress bar at the very bottom of the screen. The progress bar displays the current elapsed time and the total time remaining before the song finishes. This bar right here also updates the progress of the song being played. I added in the additional functionality of playing the next track right after the current track finishes playing. So now, whenever this song finishes, it should loop back around and start playing the next song. And since it was the last song, it loops back to the beginning. See this? Now it should, yep, fast forward to the next song, and it will continue doing that. Before we did nothing after the current track finished playing. Now it automatically starts playing the next track. You also may have noticed that I was clicking on the different parts of the progress bar and the song was automatically skipping to those parts of the song. This is something that I just recently added as well. Before, the user was only able to view the progress of the current song, and now they can click anywhere on it and it'll automatically start playing the song from wherever they clicked. That's of course if the song's actually playing. If it's paused, it'll just pause and skip to that point, but it won't actually play until you hit the play button. Alright. So now that I've talked about what the MP3 player can do, let me skim through the code so that I can show you how these different features are achieved. Here's the actual database that's being used in our project. As you can see, it's called MP3 Player Database. We have a couple of tables that we use throughout our project. This is the column display table, which we use to store the information of which columns the user wants to display in their library or playlist. This is the library table, which we use to store all of the different songs that are currently in our library. As you can see, we're also holding the path value of where the file is located so that the user can add songs to their library from any location on their computer without any issues. This table right here, playlist names, is used to hold the names of the playlists that the user has created. This table right here is just a very stubborn duplicate table that really does not want to be deleted. Whenever I try to delete this table, it for some reason doesn't do it. I get an error and it just closes the database connection. And I have to reopen it. Go back to tables. Yeah, as you can see, it doesn't want to get deleted. This table right here, called playlist songs, is a simple table that keeps track of which songs are associated with which playlist. Instead of redundantly keeping all the songs and playlist info, I simply store the keys for the desired song and the playlist and then use this information to display the correct songs whenever the user wants to view a particular playlist. And finally, we have the recently played table, which is used to store the 10 most recently played tracks. Alright, so now that we've gone over all the different tables, let's look at different classes within our project. Here's my library class. It's a simple wrapper class used to provide a level of abstraction from all the queries going on in the internal MP3 database class. Just has all the functions used to add, remove, update all the different tables that I just went over. Now, one important thing to note is that I have to make sure that I'm actually connected to this database before I run the program. If I'm not connected to the database, then it's obviously going to fail to connect to it, and it won't be able to display any of the data from the tables that are being used. Alright, so here is the internal MP3 database class. Here's a little bit of code that we use to connect to the database. Starting here is all the different code that we use to create the different tables within the database that I went over a little while ago. Here's the code that I use to delete all of the tables in the event that I want to get rid of a table. This is where all the code starts, where I'm adding rows and data to all the different tables. Here's the different code used to delete different rows from the various tables. And finally, here's the code used to retrieve the appropriate data from the different tables. Alright, let's move on to the main GUI class. Here's all the various imports that we use. Here are all the different variables that we needed to get our MP3 player up and running. Here's the timer variable that I use to update the progress of the song being played. These are all the different buttons that I'm using. Backward button, play button, pause button, stop button, and forward button. Here's a slider used to control the volume of the songs being played. These are all the different menu items that I have. Here are all the different table headers that the user can interact and select which ones they want to be displayed. Here's a tree used to display the different library and the playlist names. This mouse listener is used to determine what data to display based on what item in the tree the user selects. Here is the progress bar information and the mouse listener that I use to allow the user to select various parts of the song and skip to them. This is the file drop bit of code that allows you to just drag and drop files into the library. These are the different shortcuts. These are all the different handlers that I use. This is the method that I use to display the time in the hour, minute, second format. Here's what happens when a forward action is performed. We skip to the next track or loop back to the beginning if the current track is the last track. Here's what happens when we perform the play button action. We either play the song that the user opened or we play the selected song from the library or playlist. There's a bunch of different variables that we have to look out for, such as if a current song's playing or if the song was paused, if it's a new song that you want to play or you want to open a song. When playing, we also have to keep in mind if we're resuming a song that was previously paused, if we're playing a song from the beginning, or if we're skipping to a particular part in the song. Here's the paused action handler. When we pause the song, we preserve the state of the song and we stop the timer from progressing. Here's the stop button handler. When a stop action is performed, we basically reset all the appropriate variables and close our player. This is the backwards button handler. When this method gets executed, we skip to the previous track or we loop back to the end of the library or playlist if the current track is the first song that appears in that library or playlist. Here's where we're adding all of the menu items to our file menu. Here's where we jump to the song that the user clicks on. These are the handlers for increasing and decreasing the volume. This is the handler that's used whenever we use the file menu to add a song to our library or playlist. Here's the handler that we use whenever we select the delete menu item from our file menu. This is what happens when we open a file from a different location. Here's a bit of code that we use to create a new playlist name. Here's the code we use to delete a playlist. These are the action handlers for repeating songs and shuffling songs. This is the handler that is executed whenever the user clicks on one of the columns and wants to change what is being displayed. Here is where we delete songs from a playlist. Here is where we update what songs are being shown to the user based on whether they have the library selected or a different playlist selected. And finally, this last bit of code just initializes the GUI and displays it to the user. That about wraps up the demo. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day.